The Turtle Mountain Animal Rescue, often referred to as TMAR, got the call on December 20th. A dog and her 4 pups were stuck beneath the hollow porch. The rescue team posted a live stream on Facebook. One Facebook comment said, "I'd tear the deck off. If only it was that easy." Conditions were polar and Arctic-like, with temperatures as low as -30 degrees Fahrenheit. TMAR's founder, Keith Benning, says the ground was frozen like ice.
You'd swing as hard as you could, and you'd make a little hole about that big and about that deep.
Benning says it took them 45 minutes with the pickaxe to dig a path. He says the more he tried to reach for the pup, the further she backed away.
I had to stop for a minute and kind of rest my arm, and then one last time managed to hook her, and I just yanked her, and she came tumbling, but it had to be that way.
The mom and her 1 pup, now named Roma, were the only survivors. 3 puppies the same size as Roma didn't make it. Benning says the mom did a good job nursing them, but it was just too cold. The lone puppy was named after Roma, a Facebook follower from the UK whose mom passed away.
We found out that her mom was also a very small woman and was a real fighter and really tenacious.
Benning says the dogs were likely born under the porch and managed to survive there despite the conditions.
I thought there was no way she was going to pull through, but she is the toughest little puppy I have ever seen.
After the entire ordeal, Roma is receiving some TLC and support from people around the world as she regains her strength. In the Turtle Mountains, I'm Crystal Quao reporting for your news leader.
Yeah, you can.
Kyle Erickson, research associate with North Dakota Center for Persons with Disabilities, says he'd like to start a project related to the state's sub-minimum wage law.
I'm putting together a paper exploring, the pros and the cons of this practice and just whether or not it adds to success for people with disabilities.
Erickson says he knows people who work for as much as $3 an hour, a wage that can be legalized only by the Labor Commissioner after they've investigated the employer's finances and the person's output, among other factors. Emily Schumann, the director for the Rocky Mountain ADA Center, says the legislation has improved the ability for many to navigate in and out of buildings. She says their centers are doing research on interpersonal matters.
You can have an accessible facility that's, perfect, but if the people inside the facility, aren't aware of how to treat and work with those with disabilities, it really doesn't have as great of an impact.
Kenzie Larson, peer support specialist with Independence Inc., says she manages her PTSD with a variety of grounding techniques throughout the day, which her employer supports by allowing her to take a minute when she needs it.
Given the opportunity to shine, so many people will rise to the occasion and be able to display their strengths. We just have to be given the chance to be accepted for exactly who we are.
Erickson says he appreciates being able to transport himself on sidewalks and even places like restaurants that have added accommodations, and is glad some have stayed post-pandemic.
COVID helped out a lot with that because a lot of businesses put in electric openers so they won't have to sterilize their door handles.
Schumann says reasonable accommodations for qualified employees are a right.
Whether that's, working remotely from home or being able to take regular breaks or, being able to use headphones.
She says it looks different for each person. In Minot, I'm Crystal Quao reporting for your news leader. When it comes to the courts, the administrators are keeping the trains running on time. Jennifer Babcock, legal case clerk, says the staff is down 1 person and they're hanging in as best as possible.
It makes you realize what a close-knit team that you really are when you're short, because we've had an attorney shortage for quite a while.
Ward County State's Attorney Rosa Larson says the number of people who take the bar has gone down, and there's usually just over a 60% passage rate of North Dakota's exam.
Being down 2 attorneys puts extra workload on the attorneys that are here.
She says she hasn't been able to fill those positions in more than a year.
Sure, hold on one moment.
Tiffany Sorgan, a deputy state's attorney for Ward County, says they're unable to help new attorneys in the office get more trial experience.
I'm really the only person that has the training to be on the multidisciplinary team for the CAC, which is, again, why I handle the crimes against children.
Rena Morales with the Craig Law Firm says there's 5 state prosecutors in the Ward County State Attorney's Office and 2 public defenders. Their firm, as well as other private attorneys, take some of their cases because there aren't enough public defenders.
There's so many. And we appreciate those and we do everything that we can.
There's also language barriers. Morales says, to the best of her knowledge, she might be the only Spanish-speaking attorney in town. When she handles divorces with 2 parties who both speak Spanish, she's able to represent one of them. The other uses an interpreter. Still, she says a lot can get lost in translation. In Minot, I'm Crystal Kwao, reporting for your news leader.
Gosh, I actually had a word for it. You know, it's funny.
Nelbert Costello says he's more of a lifestyle motivator and known to 140,000 plus followers as Minot Panda 701 on Instagram. His friend June Lee says they met on a plane about 2 years ago before Nelbert's physical transformation.
I think he's very happy with the results that he's attained, and it seems like he's really been working very hard towards this.
When Castillo came to the decision to lose weight, he began with walks around the block. He says his friends were his support group who would check in on his progress. Castillo says that's why he started posting, as a way to update friends and hold himself accountable.
Faster runners to the front, please.
You know, this week I've lost 10 pounds. This week I lost 15. Oh, this week I gained another 10. You know, it was just a back and forth.
Eventually, others outside the friend group became interested in his progress.
And the money that they raised today.
Lindsay Hose, owner of Run with Heart and Soul, says Costello has become a regular.
He's probably ran at least probably 10 events with us.
As he chased towards his quantified goals, he says it became less and less about the weight itself.
It's the challenge of wanting to see what I can do and like how far can I, like I know my limit.
He says his old self would have been shocked at what he's able to do now. Now he helps others try to redesign their lifestyle. In Minot, I'm Crystal Kwao, reporting for your news leader. In the 13 years Brenda Lovegren has lived in her mobile home, she says she's never had to pay utilities, let alone utility bills that she says is at least $150 a month. That's on top of a $200 rent increase after a new owner acquired Western Village.
They kept the name Western Village, but they added the capital letters LLC after it.
Put LLCs.
Kent French, organizer, former mobile home dealer, and park operator on the board of North Dakota Manufactured Housing Association, says for years they have not been able to find out who these newer owners are, so lot renters can contact them and get answers.
Our legislative body has done a great job to help the residents that live in the communities. Not perfect, not going to lower the rents, but at least we give them some kind of legal avenue to go after.
French says Senate Bill 2243, a bill that passed almost unanimously this year, has more teeth than the last attempt at legislating it 2 years ago. Senator Bob Paulson for District 3 co-sponsored the bill and says many constituents told him they weren't able to reach the mobile park company's representatives.
They have rights. And based on this new law, I encourage them to check into what their rights are.
While addressing the audience, French says he believes some of the owners' behaviors were predatory.
Many times we have people that'll get a bill and they've already paid the rent.
Lovegren says she doesn't believe her home will survive another relocation. In Minot, I'm Crystal Kwao, reporting for your news leader.